Very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Yes, only one day left for July. That would mean that Saturday is August 1st. How is that possible? I guess it is. Anyway, we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Kicking things off is the king of Where Did July Go? Meteorologist Mike Favetta.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mikey Mike. So, I blinked. We went through June. Then I blinked and we
Yeah.
went through July. Now, if I
Boom,
could only
like that.
blink when I go to buy lottery tickets, maybe I'd be good.
Maybe. Thank you for the promotion because I think I was Prince earlier this week. Now to be king. That's a good thing. Too
Prince
bad
is
the month
only
is
on
ending, right?
Spaghetti Day. Yeah, Prince is only on
Okay.
Spaghetti Day. Otherwise, you
I
are
see.
king.
And that's it. And then I gotta wait a whole another 11 months for it to roll around again,
And you get to
with
wait.
July ending. Yeah. Well, hey, we've got some great weather on the way. Really for tomorrow, I think we start off today a little cloudy, had some showers overnight. That's why the ground is wet. It's this upper level system that is sitting and spinning over New Jersey, giving us these clouds and showers for the morning hours and likely lasting through the better part of today. As far as the sunshine maybe comes through and breaks later this afternoon, but really have to wait till tomorrow for this high pressure to dig its way in and allow for those skies to clear out. Friday looking beautiful, and Saturday starting off dry, but gradually turning gray throughout the afternoon with those high clouds taking over throughout the end of the day, and then rain comes in for Sunday. So it's a bit of a wet pattern ahead. Keep a quick eye on the tropics because we always like to check the Saharan dust forecast this time of day, and yet with all of this gray covering, this is the Saharan dust there across the Caribbean, still not anticipating any tropical development, very common with El Nino years as we head into the next few days. So with our rainfall forecast again, keeping us a little wet, likely a few spritzes and sprinkles around today. There is drier weather in the forecast tomorrow. We'll give you more details on that, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
Hey, look at that. One, two, three, and you got the whole forecast. It's like I learned everything in a moment. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you as always. It is 70 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 69 in Trenton. Los Angeles is 68 degrees, 69 degrees in San Diego, and just checking traffic in the area for you. We have a disabled vehicle now. This is on Route 29 northbound, and that is south of Layler Street in Trenton. All lanes are open, but a lot of delays through there. We also have a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway southbound, south of interchange 7A. That's 195 and Hamilton. Right lane is blocked. Over to Route 24, there's a crash westbound I-78 Springfield. 2 left lanes of 3 lanes closed. Turnpike, we have an inner roadway crash. That is northbound, south of interchange 12, Carteret, Rahway, and Woodbridge Township. Left lane is blocked there. What else? We have truck restrictions now in both directions, and that is between Brewster Road and Marlin Street in Newark. Don't know why that's happening, but they're telling trucks to take alternate routes. And then we have delays on the Outer Bridge crossing right now, and that is eastbound New Jersey side in Perth Amboy. A lot of stuff going on today. Over to the Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln Tunnel is reporting 25 minutes in. That's via the, you can see that, the 495, the Helix. The Holland Tunnel is actually not as bad right now. Usually at this hour it starts to get bad. It's only about 20 to 25 minutes in. You can see a little bit of movement there. And the GWB, upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, actually not bad. This is only 20 minutes in at this hour. You can see the upper level on the right, lower level on the left. If you go over to Los Angeles, let's all do that, shall we? The magic of television. We go over to Los Angeles. We have a traffic collision right now, Baldwin Park, and this is by Buena Vista Street on-ramp and the 210. We also have a collision now in Santa Fe Springs at Imperial Highway and Shoemaker Avenue. And there is a missing elderly person in Culver City. The name is Rafael Candelaria. So if you see a gentleman, older gentleman in that area, Culver City, walking around looking kind of aimless at this hour, it's only 4:05 in the morning. Please call police. Do not approach the person. Call police and wait and kind of observe the person until police can arrive. It is 5 minutes after the hour. The U.S. and Saudi Arabia struck Iran-backed military targets in Iraq. in Iraq, I should say. Yes, officials said these strikes responded to repeated drone attacks. Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces reported at least 20 members killed. Iran condemned the attacks as violations of international law. Iraq also criticized the strikes as breaches of their sovereignty. Oil prices rose amid concerns over escalating regional conflicts. Although, again, we keep saying that they rose, they had fallen. Even during everything, they had fallen to $80 a barrel. Let's do this. We check daily. And I know this is causing my camera to freak out. Excuse me. Let's see. Oil prices per barrel. We do this together because what happens is we get reports from the Associated Press. The Associated Press loves to be anti-right, and they love to bash anything to the right. So they love to come out with information that makes the right look bad. And then I come out and expose them as the asses that they are. So let's see. Oil prices per barrel. Crude oil prices today. Let's do it together, folks. We're finding out live. I could be a moron. $83.60. So yesterday was $80. They're making it sound like it's $200 a barrel. Like that just illustrates to you what we're talking about. So oil prices, there was a point when they were $120 a barrel. $83 a barrel is nothing. All right. So we're not getting worldwide oil crisis prices here. They went up $1 or $2 a barrel. It goes up and down every day that much. The developments increase fears of broader Middle East instability. But then again, this is nothing new versus what's been happening for the last 3 months. Anthony Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment during a Senate hearing on COVID-19 origins. He cited legal advice and concerns about possible perjury accusations. Republicans questioned Fauci about pandemic guidance and COVID's origins. Senator Rand Paul criticized Fauci and proposed contempt proceedings. Now, mind you, Rand Paul is also a medical doctor. And when Rand Paul, during the whole COVID hearings, originally, Dr. Rand Paul asked Dr. Fauci questions. And Dr. Fauci was extremely condescending, and that was not a good thing to be. I know Dr. Fauci for many years, not dear friends, but we are acquaintances. We went to the same high school in Manhattan, and many a time we had to appear at fundraisers together. And I had many a conversation with Dr. Fauci. And as the COVID crisis went on and on, I speak from personal experience. Hi there, Dr. Fauci. How are you? Good to see you. I speak from personal experience. He became more and more into himself. It became all about Dr. Fauci. So if you hear the excerpts from his diary, which were read during the Senate hearing, you can hear that. Dr. Fauci started out as he's about 5 feet tall, started out as this little 5 foot tall gentleman doctor, and he grew to be this arrogant monster over COVID. So take that for what it's worth. Now, he was granted total immunity, total pardons by President Biden. You have to ask why. Why would you grant a doctor who was just allegedly doing his job? Why would you grant him all these pardons? Yesterday, when he appeared, he took the fifth. Now the question is, can you take the fifth if you are pardoned? The fifth is only to prevent you from incriminating yourself, but he can't incriminate himself based on something that already happened if he was given a pardon for it. You get it? So that means that he currently may have committed a crime by obstructing justice and not answering the questions the Senate asked him, which means he could now be in potential a lot of trouble. What does that mean? Probably absolutely nothing, because the Senate, just like the House Republicans, the Senate Republicans, are capital W wussy, capital W wussy. They are afraid to do anything that might upset the apple cart. You go after Fauci, election time comes up, all of a sudden that becomes an election issue. So I think Fauci is immune again. But I want you to remember that millions of people died in the United States, led by that man right there on your screen, led by that man. Millions of children will never get a year and a half of their lives back. Church services were, people were jailed for going to church services in parking lots in their cars. Husbands and wives who went to golf courses because there was nothing else to do. They went to golf courses to play golf, and they were told they couldn't be on the same golf cart, even though they would then go home and sleep in the same bed. That kind of silliness, the masking, the being exactly 6 feet apart when there was absolutely no evidence that 6 feet meant anything. 30 feet would have been too close. But yet we all did the social distancing, the frickin' dots on the floor, all from him, all from him. America literally changed, and he enjoyed it. He ate it up. So why are a lot of people really upset with him? Right there. Children who now at their current age are antisocial, don't know how to get along with each other. That's him. So I think that's why you have 50% of the country at least incensed. Meanwhile, states like Florida and countries like Sweden that decided they would not do lockdowns. Their economies are much better than other states. Their students are doing better in school, and the whole mindset is just different. So, if you're wondering why so many on the right are so pissed off at that guy, that's why. Think about it. And yes, there will be a more comeuppance, but he's not going to jail. But I think what's going to happen is they want to destroy his legacy so that the world knows that's the guy who may very well be responsible for the spread of COVID on the planet because he may have been solely responsible for financing the Chinese lab, and this isn't my theory, he admitted to Rand Paul in one of the Senate hearings that we had funded a lab for research, but then he admitted that he didn't have any control over what research they did. Well, the lab was called the Wuhan Coronavirus Lab. So what do you think the research was there, Dr. Fauci? Scratch your head. Millions died. Don't forget that, including elderly people in nursing homes who couldn't give a hug to their children one last time. That's unforgivable. It is 12 minutes after the hour. The Federal Reserve is expected to leave interest rates unchanged this week. Persistent inflation remains above the Fed's 2% target. Once again, an AP written story. Inflation right now is nothing. Inflation is lower than it was during the entire Biden administration. Yeah, let's check what inflation is right now, folks. Let's do this together, shall we? We're going to do this together, Pam. I'm going by, these are stories that are coming from the Associated Press, and we're going to show you how they're full of crap. Let's see, inflation let's see, current inflation. Let's find out together, folks, shall we? Again, don't take my opinion about this. Let's just do it. So current inflation right now is 3.5% for the 12 months ending in June. Let's see. That, by the way, remember at one point we were at 9% under President Biden. And when he left office, we were still at about 5%. So it's at 3.5%. If you get between, say, 2.5% to 3%, that's considered as low as it gets. So the idea that it's persistent, difficult inflation is silly. The only thing causing us to be above 2 to 2.5% right now is gas prices. If you take gas prices out, and we know why we have gas prices what they are, you take gas prices out right now, inflation is actually below 2% or in the low 2% area, which is as good as it gets. So again, I'm not trying to be the mouthpiece for a president. I'm just telling you we need to be realistic. All right, be realistic. Open your eyes. And unfortunately, my friends in mass media, whom I used to work with, they don't want to because it doesn't fit their agenda, and they have an agenda. Believe me, I worked with them. Michigan cyclospora outbreak appears to be slowing following a nationwide lettuce recall. More than 18,000 confirmed or suspected cases have been reported nationwide. Michigan alone has recorded over 9,500 illnesses, about 160 hospitalizations. Officials caution that reporting delays complicate tracking the outbreak's true spread, and investigators continue searching for additional contaminated food sources beyond lettuce. Cilantro and parsley remain under investigation in several states. The reason? They grow low to the ground. And as the rain falls and the soil splashes up, it's basically contaminated manure and things like that that causes the cyclospora to splash up. In some cases, that manure is from animals, could be birds and rats in the field. And in some cases, they don't like to talk about it, folks, it is human. Yes, humans who farm the fields drop and take care of themselves right in the middle of the fields. And that has been reported as well. We don't know if that's the case here. And I know it's kind of unsettling to hear that, but that's what happens. eBay agreed to pay $56 million to settle a harassment lawsuit. A Massachusetts couple accused former employees of years of intimidation. They received threatening messages and disturbing anonymous deliveries. The campaign included bizarre items sent to their homes. The lawsuit targeted actions by former eBay employees. And Florida executed former police officer James Duckett for a 1987 rape and murder. Duckett received lethal injection at Florida State Prison. The victim's family said justice was decades overdue. A second execution was scheduled later the same day. Florida has carried out more executions than any other state recently. Coincidentally, serious crimes like murder is down sharply in the state of Florida versus other states. Gee, cause and effect. Think it has anything to do with it? The fact that public execution has been part of human history for thousands of years, and wherever it's been applied, murder rates drop? Just saying. A Georgia judge sentenced school shooter Colt Gray to life without parole. Gray pleaded guilty to killing 2 students and 2 teachers. Victims' families overwhelmingly supported denying parole eligibility. Prosecutors said that Gray sought notoriety through mass violence. Defense attorneys argued that Gray deserved hope for rehabilitation. The judge acknowledged Gray's troubled upbringing, but emphasized personal responsibility. Yeah, okay. Another case of transgenderism right there. They didn't like to talk about it because why? Why? It has nothing to do with it. Yeah, hormonal imbalance, mental instability at that age. Yeah. And we should cut him some slack when he killed other people. He killed children. No, sorry. You commit the crime. You're old enough to pick up a gun and go and shoot people multiple times, multiple people. Sorry, you got to do the time, bud. Have fun in jail. You're lucky you're not getting something worse. The iconic Macy's red shopping bag billboard was removed after more than 40 years. The sign had become a recognizable landmark in Herald Square. Its removal revealed a long-hidden building on the corner. People didn't even realize it was there. The billboard dated back to the mid-1990s. Such a great billboard. Iconic. Macy's a great place. I used to work there when I was a teenager. A real estate agreement reportedly prevented the sign from remaining there. Macy's says updated branding for its flagship store coming soon. It is 17 minutes past the hour. When we return, most of us brush and floss every day, but some of our everyday habits could still be quietly damaging our teeth. We'll explain when we come back. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, live in New Jersey and New York. We now welcome our friends in Los Angeles and in Florida. California, we have ONLACA, and in Florida, ONFLA. At 15 or make that 20 minutes now past the hour, we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, seeing all the clouds out there is a little unnerving after having all the heavy storms that we've had, but these are kind of innocuous clouds, right?
Yeah, not going to give us more than a little sprinkle, similar to what happened last night, Ken. Woke up this morning to some wet ground. Those were some light showers that rolled through across northern New Jersey. Didn't even make it further south than, say, Monmouth County, but way down south along the Gulf states, stretching through Texas, and even in the west, down through Phoenix, San Diego, LA, the southwestern corner of California. Excessive heat warnings in place for all of that hot weather that's centered right now over the south. That's allowing for the heat to keep on pumping down across all of the southern states. So the difference here in the northeast is we have this little bit of a trough, and our weather being controlled by the jet stream keeps that warm but cloudy feel around for the rest of the day today. Into tomorrow, that high pressure shifts back west, so we actually tap into some slightly cooler conditions as the sun returns by tomorrow morning, giving us a pretty decent day for Friday. And then Saturday, likely back to the clouds with some winds coming in from the west, giving us a little bit more of that gray sky. You can see it here on the Futurecast going into tomorrow. High pressure in control, giving us beautiful clear sky, lovely weather on the way to start off the last day of the work week. But then Saturday, see some clouds come in by the afternoon, and then rain likely by Sunday as this front kind of stalls out, giving us that continued shower activity into Monday. So we get one clear day, and then it's right back to some cloudy conditions. Even the long-range futurecast, zooming in here to the northeast, you see all throughout the morning on Saturday, clouds take over. By Saturday evening, we're back to gray sky. And then for Sunday, some rain starts to work into the picture, but I think most of that wet weather actually arrives for Monday. And it'll be a wet start to next week with continued showers by Tuesday. Have to wait until Wednesday to finally clear things out. So a little bit of a hiccup there, if you will, as our forecast for August starts off a little wet.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. It is 70 degrees northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton, 67 in Los Angeles, 69 now in San Diego. You know, many of us brush and floss every day, but some of our everyday habits could still be quietly damaging our teeth, from sipping coffee throughout the morning, guilty, to snacking all day and overusing whitening products. These seemingly harmless routines, hey, they're over the counter. They got to be good for us, right? Well, they could take a toll on our oral health. Joining us this morning is Dr. Mark Andraus, who is the lead prosthodontist at Clear Choice Dental Implant Centers, with simple tips to help protect your smile. Good morning, doctor. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
I remember years ago trying an over-the-counter whitening uh, product, and I remember my teeth hurt immediately. And for days and days and days, they were sensitive. My gums felt like they burned. Meanwhile, I thought, oh, this is fine. It's innocuous. It's over the counter. How could it hurt? You got to be very careful with bleaching products like that, don't you?
Yeah, 100%, Ken. I think what people assume because it's over the counter, like you mentioned, that it works for everybody. And for us, we typically recommend that a patient sees a dentist before they start, any whitening product, because there's a different strength to some of these products, and our teeth have different, sensitivities to them, and certain areas that may have decay or issues. Touching it with a whitening strip may end up being a lot more painful than a natural healthy tooth in a younger adult, for example. So it certainly is an over-the-counter product, but a check with the dentist is probably a most important step of starting this.
So now also, doctor, I understand that it's not necessarily always what you eat, but how you eat it, right? So if you this is just plain water, by the way, for the record, but if you were to take a sip, I'm doing a blood test today, so I have to fast. So if I'm grumpy on the air, that's why. But if you drink, I guess, with a straw and you get the liquid, say if it's coffee or whatever, into the back of your throat, as opposed to letting it sit on your teeth, that can make a difference in terms of staining, couldn't it?
Yeah, in terms of staining and in terms of the acidity that any food product that you eat that's sugary,
Mhm.
creates an environment in your mouth that allows or enhances the ability to soften the teeth, and that can essentially
Interesting.
cause a decay. Something that when we learned in dental school, kind of in the beginning, and it's they said you're supposed to eat sugary. You're better off eating a sugary snack fairly quickly than slowly eating it throughout the day or sipping on a cup of coffee throughout the day. Is harmful to your mouth, and that was kind of surprising, but it makes complete sense, and here's why. Um, every time you sip on something acidic, well, it's called coffee, tea, and even sparkling water, and more importantly, the flavored sparkling waters, the pH in your mouth drops into like an acidic zone, and your enamel starts to really soften. And the mouth needs about 20 to 30 minutes to probably neutralize that sip that you took and reharden the surface so it does not soften over time. So if you're really sipping steadily for 3 hours, you're kind of putting your mouth in a very acidic environment for such an extended period of time. That allows for the decay to start, and it's a low-grade acidic attack throughout the whole day or throughout the whole hour. So the fix is really, you don't need to give up the coffee. It's finish in a reasonable window of time, rinse with water or take sips of water after. That reduces the staining also that the coffee kind of creates on the tooth surface.
Interesting. And I remember from high school, my high school science teacher teaching us your teeth and your bones are made up of mostly calcium, right? And calcium's a base, it's an alkaline. So it makes sense if you consume acid combating alkaline, it's gonna wear it out, right? Eventually.
Correct. So the saliva is sort of its main job is to neutralize the acidity of the foods that we eat. And uh, if you have a dry mouth, for example, or you have a low salivary flow because of a side effect of a drug that you're taking, you're at a much more risk from that cup of coffee than someone that has a normal salivary flow, for example. So it's something to keep in mind.
Interesting.
It's not just necessarily the cup of coffee and even the time, but how does your body combat the acidic environment that the sugary products or the drinks that you're having, kind of cause for you.
So just a little swoosh of water, which I know people who use inhalers too for their lungs, and they're always told after you take the inhaler, you're supposed to rinse out your mouth from that too, right?
That is correct. That is 100% correct. And the reason so is that typically these are steroidal inhalers that sort of reduce your body's reduce the salivary flow in the mouth and create an environment in the mouth that can be very rich for bacteria to start softening the teeth.
Interesting. Are there certain snacks that are better to have for our teeth?
Anything that is non-sugary, because the saliva, the bacteria in the mouth feeds on the sugary product, and everything essentially that we eat has got some level of sugar in it. So it's not necessarily what kind of snack. I tell everybody to avoid the sticky candies, the snacks that kind of
Mm,
stay on your teeth for a long period of time. Something that you eat and does not leave residue on the teeth for a long period of time is definitely better. But more important than that, if you're going to have it, don't have it over a longer period of time, like we just discussed. Have it over a shorter period of time. Sip water after or in between, and then I think that creates a lot of protection for the oral cavity.
and I would imagine not only like something like a gummy bear, that's definitely I can cross that off the list, but also things like dates and raisins. Aren't they sticky and they're full of sugar? And I would imagine not to say that you can't have them ever, but rinse out or brush your teeth after having them, right?
100%, and I think everything is in moderation there. Enjoy the foods, enjoy the luxuries of life,
Right.
and have what you need to. But like you said, a little bit of a rinse. Don't do it for too long of a period of time, and don't do it as often. And that's the most important thing to remember. It's just consider what you're putting in your mouth and for how long you're sipping on it. There are patients that come to us that teeth have really suffered quite a bit because they're just chronic, for example, soda drinkers, and it's from one to the next, and each soda takes maybe 3 to 4 hours to finish. So those patients are at a higher risk because of the period of time that the mouth it cannot recover. The saliva cannot work hard enough there to neutralize back the acidic environment that it created, that the soda created, to get the enamel back to a healthy state. More importantly, too, in situations like this, is when you're sipping on soda, for example, or you're eating a sugary product, but then you go brush right after. A lot of patients think that might be a good thing because I'm going to get the bacteria or get the sticky product or the sticky candy off my teeth. That is actually very harmful because the enamel is soft at this period of time, and taking a brush to it, you're actually on a micron level, on a very microscopic level, you're actually brushing some of your enamel off that way. You got to give your saliva the time to neutralize first, then you're able to brush comfortably and safely at that moment.
Amazing. I've learned more in 5 minutes with you than I think even my own dentist in my whole lifetime. Thank you for that. I would have absolutely been the guy to go run for the toothbrush at that point. And I was probably harming my teeth. And before I let you go, let's talk what my dentist just last week warned me about. I'm 59 years old, gums are receding. All my fillings, if you look at my fillings, they're all deep because in my sleep, I
Grind.
grind my teeth. How common is that? Do people do a lot of that in their sleep?
Yes, it is unfortunately very common. The research kind of puts it on it's a little bit of a centrally nervous system sort of controlled habit. A lot of patients that we see, it certainly could do with the condition of the teeth or maybe a bite that is not aligned properly. But more importantly, it's the stresses in life. It's kind of the things that we worry about. I highly recommend night guards for patients that are designed specifically for that type of thing. It's not over the counter type of night guards or ones that you can get online. They have to be designed properly to protect the joint that sits right in front of our earlobes here from being harmed by the night guard, because you could be saving the teeth but maybe harming the joint. So these guards have to be designed properly by a professional. I tell patients that if the damage is severe enough, potentially getting some restorative work done in order to protect the remaining parts of the tooth or the remaining tooth surfaces, because you can continue grinding down your teeth to nothing.
Mhm. Well, my dentist made me get a night guard, and
Okay.
it's custom, and I keep it right next to my bed, and I wake up and I look at it every single day, and I just can't get used to the damn thing. I put it in my mouth for 30 seconds and I take it out. I'm sorry. I will have, and my dentist, I'm sure, is going to watch. He's going to scream at me for this. So, but he could tell you can't hide the gaps and the not the gaps, but the depressions in the
The
fillings. I
wear.
can't I can't escape. Exactly. Doctor, you are fantastic. Give everybody your website for Clear Choice, please.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell, and by the way, you're not the only one. A lot of patients kind of do the same thing. We give it to them, and they sit in nightstands right next to them. Most important, bring it to the office when you go in for your cleanings and your follow up visits. But hey, if someone has kind of gone through something like this or damaged their teeth, feel free to come see us. We're at clearchoice.com. That's clear, CLEAR choice .com. We treat patients that have had significant damage and wear in their mouth from decay or grinding or bad bites or things of that
Mhm.
sort. So it's a free consultation. We'd love to see you guys.
By the way, your commercials are amazing, and it's unreal the amazing transformation of lives that your team of dentists, you and all your team of dentists, do, and it does change people's lives. It's almost emotional in a minute. I rarely get emotional at a commercial, but when you see somebody who explains that for most of their lives they kind of cowered away from people or hid their mouths, and you've transformed them by giving them a new smile and allowing them to be extroverts instead of introverts. A lot of people take it for granted if they have nice teeth and what it means for them. So thank you to you and your whole team at Clear Choice for doing such an amazing job.
Thank you, Ken. It's the most humbling experience every day, kind of changing someone's life for the better like this, and that's what we do, and we enjoy doing it every day. And I've been doing it for 8 years, and it's not old for me. It's not boring. It's still amazing every day seeing someone gain their life back.
It's a nice thing to do, to wake up and enjoy your job. That's a great thing. Dr. Mark Andrawas, lead prosthodontist at Clear Choice Dental Implant Centers. Do you find it's hard for people to say that? Thank you
Oh
so
yeah.
much, Doctor. I'm the lead prosthodontist. They got to give you a new title. Like, I don't know, I'm the jack of all trades. That's it. Doctor, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Pleasure
Really,
meeting
we
you, Ken.
appreciate you.
Thank
Likewise,
you.
sir.
Thank
Thank you. All right. 7:34 right now. Pam, we want to go straight on or we're going to break? All right. It is 34 minutes past the hour. When we come back, $100 million gift to Cooper University Healthcare is making headlines, but it's also highlighting a much bigger story happening across New Jersey. Binges.com's owner and founder, Tom Bergeron, is going to be here to talk about it. We're back in 2. Good morning. It is 37 minutes past the hour on Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Well, Mike, I'm just peeking out. I actually have a window in this
All
basement in the new
right.
studio. I'm looking over there, and I see what almost looks like the glow of sun, but it's not sun. It's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a glow through cloud. So it's not going to be the worst day in the world, right?
No, no, no. It'll actually be pretty decent. Similar to yesterday, a lot of people thought, oh, it'll be raining all day. But in most of New Jersey, we actually had a decent amount of sunshine in between the clouds. With the warmer weather around today, we got another nice dose of rain last night. That brought the humidity levels higher, and it'll keep us feeling humid throughout this afternoon. But again, breaks in the clouds through 5 o'clock this evening as the whole system finally, after days of lingering across the Northeast, is pulling away. So our next weather system that comes in brings with it some clear sky, dry weather for tomorrow. And then by Saturday afternoon, you see the clouds begin to increase. The rain chances go up for Sunday, likely see some wet weather by the second half of the weekend. And even into Monday, look at all those showers around from Monday morning into the midday. So likely starting off next week rather wet and pretty much staying that way going into the afternoon. You see this is swirl pulls away. This is all of that wet weather that takes over. So as we turn our attention to the desert Southwest, that hot weather continues with the excessive heat warnings right down toward the coast. It's that heat dome that keeps that area very wet, and even down toward places in Florida, you have the wet weather there too. But again, the southwestern U.S. has all of that heat and not really humidity, but it's the wind out of the south and southeast that's promoting this very hot and dry atmosphere, keeping even the marine layer far away each afternoon. So you don't even get that cooling effect down off of the Pacific as long as those breezes are blowing in the opposite direction. So things there staying toasty through the rest of this weekend into early next week as that heat continues. It's all due to the heat dome out to the southwest that keeps our weather a little cloudier and wetter than usual into next week. We'll give you more details on the drought situation, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. It is 70 degrees, northern New Jersey, also in Trenton, 70, 69 degrees, LA, 67 degrees, San Diego. In terms of traffic, we have some serious issues at the Hudson River crossings. So pay attention if you're headed into the city or if a loved one is headed into the city, call their jobs if they don't have a cell phone and let them know. Let's start with the Lincoln Tunnel approach. There is a crash with injuries at the Lincoln Tunnel, center tunnel eastbound, New Jersey side. Weehawken, all lanes are blocked. So now take a look at what we have. The bus lane, the buses use the right tube when you come around the helix. So even though it's slow, the buses are crawling. The problem is the center tube is closed, and that's usually you use either the center tube as a car or the left lane of the right tube. So all of those cars are now squeezing into one lane of one tube. That is going to cost you at least an hour from that point right there. That's a nightmare for morning drive. It is going to be a nightmare. So when you see the buses stopped, that's bad. And so this is the 1 mile point to Manhattan where this camera is. And at that point, if it's stopped, that's a nightmare. So anticipate an hour or more. It's only going to get worse. You might want to take an alternate, but here's the problem. Well, let's show you what the Holland looks like. This is the approach to the Holland Tunnel. This is 139 coming from the turnpike to the tubes. And you could see the left and the right, not the middle. The middle that's moving, that's the local lanes for Jersey City. Left tube, right tube. Look at that. Stopped. So people got wind of what's going on at the Lincoln. They're all going to the Holland. Now, let's make matters worse, shall we? We go to the GWB. We just got a report of a crash with injuries, GWB lower level eastbound from New Jersey into Manhattan. Now, you see right here, it looks wide open. What's the big deal, Mr. Rosato? All right, so the lower level's on the left. The next report we do, that will be bumper to bumper, and everybody's going to be going over to the right side. So this is a nightmare scenario that's going on the Hudson River crossings. When you have all three causing delays, major delays, this is going to be a bad thing, bad day. All right, let us switch back over to our interviews at 7:42 Eastern Time, 4:42 for our LA friends. $100 million gift to Cooper University Healthcare is making headlines, but it's also highlighting a much bigger story happening across New Jersey, private philanthropy. It's become a driving force behind major hospital expansions, cancer centers, medical research, and community health programs throughout the state. All too often, people love to hate the rich. We're not taxing them enough. They're not paying their fair share, forgetting the fact that many of our wealthiest cohabitants here in the state of New Jersey are financing things like this. Joining us is our good friend Tom Bergeron, owner and editor of Binge, that's BINJE.com, Business in New Jersey Every Day, to discuss why these transformational donations are becoming so important to the future of healthcare in New Jersey. Good morning. Good to have you on, Tom.
Good to be here as always.
So, yeah, we forget how many super generous people there are in the state of New Jersey. For instance, George Norcross's $100 million gift to Cooper. How significant is that?
Look, I'm gonna bastardize a Shakespeare quote. I'm not coming to bury millionaires. I'm here to praise them. So the Norcross family has been involved in the Cooper University healthcare system for generations, literally. And George sits as the chair chairman of the board of trustees there, and announced this week $100 million donation. Listen, for any industry, this is life changing, game changing. Cooper is in the middle of a $3 billion expansion. Anybody who wants to contribute something like that, it's just mind-blowingly helpful to community health. And at a time, as you point out correctly, we say pay your fair share and millionaires and loopholes. This is just one of a number of incredible donations that private people have given to healthcare facilities up and down the state this decade that really doesn't get enough attention.
Back in the day, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, back in my time, that's the way everything worked, right? And then we ended up getting less and less philanthropy, unfortunately, because I think a lot of times we determined, you know what, we started with income tax. We're going to start letting government take care of all this. Well, government can only do so much. We still need the private sector to step up. So when you get something like this, not only is it great for Cooper Union, for instance, but it also they get to tell their friends, hey, we just made this $100 million donation. And I think by virtue of that donation, other philanthropists or other people might then become philanthropic because of the need to, you feel kind of guilted into it. Well, they gave 100 million. We really should give something, honey.
It's a couple of things. I think I don't want to say the trend started because it's been around for some time, but Leon Cooperman gave $100 million to St. Barnabas in 2020. And that started a spree of, I just have my notes here, $50 million from the Vogel family, $30 million from the Melchiori family, $75 million from the Douglas Noble Foundation. And in the case of the Noble Foundation, this was to Holy Name Hospital in Teaneck, a smaller one entity. For them, 75 million was like 750 million. This was completely changing for what they do. And then I think what you get here is people are living longer and they're appreciating the unbelievable healthcare that we have in New Jersey. It leads them to want to make more donations. Jack and Cheryl Morris, an undisclosed amount to the Cancer Center. Again, in memory of a fallen one, someone who had treatment there, a mother, a father, a sister, a son. And it just makes such a huge difference. And I don't think enough people, while we're complaining about millionaires don't pay enough, here they're writing checks on the side that's going directly to places of need for all of us.
And they don't have to. I mean, that's the point. They could keep it and let it roll, right? Keep it, let it earn interest and whatever. But it behooves them, aside from the philanthropic reasons, it behooves them from a tax write-off perspective too. But you can only get so much written off in taxes. But listen, we couldn't survive based on just the income that hospitals are getting, because many hospitals, by law, they have to treat people, right? When you come in an emergency, you have to treat them. And somebody who comes in could end up racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills and then not pay. And that's where you end up having hospitals, they still got to pay their doctors and nurses, and they still have to buy their medical supplies. So in many cases, they rely on these non-traditional funding sources, right?
Look, and in addition, it helps improve the quality of care. So next week, the gold standard U.S. News hospital rankings are going to come out. We expect that Hackensack, Meridian Health, and Atlantic Health, and RWJ Barnabas will all do extraordinarily well. Cooper, Virtua, Innsbruck, goes down the line. And what's happening is more people are recognizing nationally, like on this list, that you don't need to go to New York or Philadelphia for care and for treatment, right? And when you're suffering from cancer or a debilitating disease, the idea, look, you just had the report about the tunnel traffic today, right? Imagine if you had to go there for cancer treatment, or you had to see someone undergoing cancer treatment. An already tough day has become ridiculously harder. So when you have people like Helena Thura and her family and what they've given to Hackensack for their cancer center, up and down the state, RWJ has cancer centers all over the place that have been built upon a lot of this private philanthropy. It not only improves the quality of care, but improves the quality of life, because you and I both know healthcare stinks. And when you have to go through with it yourself or a loved one, the last thing you want to do is sit in traffic. The idea that it can be in your neighborhood is just a great, great thing. And thanks to, donations like the Norcross family did in honor of his parents, and all of these other ones that I've noted, and forgive me for leaving some out, really make a difference and really make an important part of the state as we get better and show that we are just as good as New York or Philadelphia when it comes to healthcare.
And then, Tom, but right along those lines, and to reinforce what you're saying, when you have people, great doctors coming out of medical schools or other institutions, now instead of looking at New York or Boston, this becomes a place that they might want to come to and practice their craft, their medicine, and that just it benefits everybody in the state of New Jersey. I think
when
some
you
of
go to a place like
right.
the Jack and Cheryl Morris Cancer Center in New Brunswick, and you walk around that building and you ask yourself, if I'm a top cancer doctor or research or nurse, why wouldn't I want to work at a facility like this? You're exactly right. The increase in this makes better facilities, better healthcare, makes them attract better researchers, better doctors, better caregivers. All of this feeds, but it starts with the philanthropic efforts of some very wealthy individuals. And as you point out, they don't have to give a penny. They don't. And they choose to, and they give a lot of pennies.
We're very blessed to have them, and for their donations and their philanthropy. And I know it's not pop to praise the billionaires and the millionaires, as you said right off the top. But as long you can make the argument, well, maybe if they had been doing this all along, but I know I'm trying to be
So
I'm
what you're
trying to be the
saying is someone's
Democratic
given $100
socialist.
million and you're equivalent. I get it.
So there you have it.
You should run
But
for office,
thank
Ken. You
God.
fit right in.
I'll be a Dem socialist. That's it. But I think people do have to step back and realize when they look at the entirety of the numbers, and maybe part of it is our own fault in the media for not pointing this out enough. The generosity of the philanthropy in the state of New Jersey. Once people get the idea and they realize that it's not all bad to be a billionaire as long as you're helping out your
Well,
fellow human.
and look, every time you go into a hospital, you'll see a family does a wing or a healthcare center or a pavilion. It doesn't have to be 100 million. Trust me, $1 million, you and I both know, goes a long way. It just adds to the creature comforts when you get in there. My son was recently in the hospital for 7 days, and you appreciate the little things that they have there that make your life a little bit easier, that make the patient's life a little bit easier. And unfortunately, so much of that relies on private donations. And fortunately, we have a lot of people in the state who are willing to step up and give. So the next time you're in a hospital and you see that plaque and it has 37 names on it of people who have give, just stop and look at it and realize, as you said, they didn't have to give a penny. They did. And it makes for a better experience for everyone in there.
Hey, shout out to one of my local hospitals. When I first moved to New Jersey, I used to live in the Nutley, Belleville area, and Little Claramas Hospital, which at one point was ranked one of the lowest hospitals in the state, is now part of the RWJ Barnabas chain. You walk into that hospital, you think it's like, what happened to this place?
Oh,
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
unbelievable. What they did to the
right. And
opening is incredible. Yep. And that's one of the leading transplant centers in the country, not
yep,
just Essex County,
yep.
not just New Jersey. But you're right. The recent upgrade they have, a lot of it which came from private philanthropy, night and day difference, and just fabulous. A good tip of the hat to them.
Absolutely. So, yes, it does make a huge difference. And we're very lucky to have these folks in New Jersey. We're very lucky to have you too, Mr. Bergeron. Tom Bergeron, founder, owner, and editor of Binge. What do you got coming up this week? Anything special you're working on?
Well, to be honest, I'm headed to the South to go see my son's graduation and another daughter checking in for year 3 of college. So I'll be making the road. So I'll give you a live report from a Buc-ee's stop that I do somewhere in Tennessee or Alabama, the greatest place on earth. I'll tell you about it next week.
I love it. I love Buc-ee's, having driven between here and I have friends in Tennessee and friends in Florida 100 times. And of course, I live part-time in Florida. So that's great. Congratulations on the graduation and all the best to you, Tom. Tom Bergeron, founder,
Awesome.
owner, and editor of binge.com, binje.com. Check it out. Business in New Jersey every day. Tom, always, thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
You bet. It is now 52 minutes past the hour. When we come back, meteorologist Mike Favetta will have the full forecast. Or do you want to take a break or not, Pam? We can go through. I'll let Pam tell us. Oh, Pam's probably talking to Tom. All right, so I'm just going to keep talking. How about that? I'm going to keep talking. And Pam will tell me. Oh, she says, now she says you can go to break. All right. So we can bring Mike. I'd like to bring Mike on, actually. I think that's always nice. I think most of New Jersey is saying we've been waiting for Mike since 7:45. Let's go to Mike. Mike, so just in talking to Tom Bergeron about the generosity of folks here in New Jersey and the philanthropy,
Yep.
and I think that they just don't get enough credit. Yes, are there the day traders that you want to hate? Yes, of course, there are a lot of people, the young, the young money bros that are taking the mommy's cash and daddy's cash. No, seriously, and I think that's where a lot of the negative stereotypes come from. Meanwhile, you
Yeah.
have great families like the families that were just mentioned by Tom
Mm-hmm.
Bergeron, and the Norcross family, for instance, $100 million that didn't have to be donated to hospitals to just transform. Think of all the doctors and nurses who get hired. Think of all the medical bills that couldn't get paid by people who were on the verge of being destitute, or they they had an emergency, got into a car accident, they had 2 pennies to their name. Those bills get paid, they get covered for all those medical expenses. You think about that, and without people like that in our community, forget about it.
It's true. And you and I were speaking not too long ago about these charity auctions, where some of these philanthropists will drop 50 grand at the drop of a hat for some really important causes for those that are disabled or those that need extra care. And it's very inspiring to see how that
Yeah.
generosity goes a very long way.
That specific location that I was at, we talked about, that was the organization in New York that transforms lives of people who've become homeless and drug addicted. And they literally, when you say pick them up and help them get a new start, they literally foster the human being so that they
Hmm.
put them up in an actual really nice apartment, not a crappy apartment, not like some little,
Right.
we're talking a really nice place. And they're there day to day for counseling. They get them off drugs. They get them to finish their degrees, and then they get them into the workforce. Sometimes it's a 3-year project. And they've done this now with over 1,000 people. Wow. You look at that, but that was done all with philanthropy, with donations. And yes, that evening there were people saying, I'll do 50,000, I'll do 100,000. They raised $8
Hmm.
million in front of my face in a
Wild.
matter of 10 minutes. I've never seen anything
Yep.
like that in
It
10
is.
minutes.
It is
But
incredible.
that's why I say it's okay to be a billionaire and a millionaire. It's okay as long as you remember your fellow humans in the process. And I think that moment of being able to be generous and and empathetic and using that empathy to be generous and kind to your fellow human, that makes all the difference.
Yeah. No, it really does.
Yeah.
The organization that I do some work with over in Long Island, the Canine Companions, they place service dogs, especially for people with PTSD or those that have disabilities. It takes $50,000 to train a service dog. So all of that funding needs to come from somewhere. And these charity events, they auction off these things that are great, that really go a long way in order to bring people's lives back to as best as they possibly can.
Did you say Rocco comes from them?
Hmm. Yeah, he's
So he's
a
one of the
change
dog.
of service dog. A change of service dog. He flunked out. So
Yeah, but that's so sad to say it that way. I mean, it might just be one command he didn't do well in, and so that's when they give them out to people, right?
exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So Rocco's the best. I mean, based on the way he's at your feet all the time, right? Who's
Uh-huh.
better than that? He's the best
True.
doggy in the world, is what he is. You're very blessed, and we all are
Until the mailman
that he's
comes
in
and
your
rings the
life.
doorbell, then it's a little
That's
terror. But
different. That's where he flunked. That's the part he
exactly.
flunked. All
As
right, Mike.
most
Thank
dogs,
you.
I'm
Yes.
sure.
Every dog. When I was
Mm,
putting my belt on this morning, I just remembered my two now late dogs. You could not sneak out of the house because the minute you tried to put your belt on, they would hear the jingle jingle of the belt
mm-hmm.
buckle, and that made them,
That's it. Done.
you couldn't keep the house quiet at that point. That was it. All right, Mike, appreciate you, sir. We will come back for a full forecast in just a moment, and that'll be just right after the top of the hour. Thanks again. 58 minutes past the hour for those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast. Stay tuned for your local news. Stay tuned for On New Jersey coming back in 2 minutes. Very good morning, 8 a.m. Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls at 888-658-0234. Clouds today. Maybe a peak of sun here and there, maybe a passing spritz, but nothing big. Highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So we've had our share of water of rain the last few days.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what did the folks at the Weather Service, what are they telling us in terms of the amount of water that we have in the ground, and do we still have a drought?
Okay, so the drought monitor comes from a different lab, but nationally, I have to look up exactly where. But however, the amounts of rainfall have done a great job of bringing the drought to an end across many locations in New Jersey. There was actually still an extreme drought as of yesterday across southeastern parts of the state. A lot of that has ended. We'll show you that coming up in just a bit, but want to talk about the warm up that's on the way today due to, frankly, some sunshine. It'll look good with temperatures right now starting off on either side of 70 degrees. There's a warm up that brings back some humidity today, but not the stifling humidity that was outside that you endured yesterday morning. It's even a little bit cooler across some parts of northern New Jersey thanks to a little bit of this energy kind of pinwheeling through the upper atmosphere, giving us a few sprinkles early today. That comes to an end, so breaks in the clouds, bringing back some sunshine this afternoon. Yes, there could still be a rogue passing shower or storm, but beyond that, it's dry going into tomorrow, and tomorrow really looks pretty with those highs well in the mid 80s and lots of low humidity. So that'll be a nice change. Then Saturday brings back some extra clouds, likely some more humidity with that wind out of the south and west. And look what happens for Sunday. It's wet yet again with some storms taking us into early Monday morning and some of those storms lingering through the Monday morning commute. So the next few days, kind of skipping along. We get clear sky tomorrow, back to some clouds on Saturday, and then rain by Sunday. So a little give and take with the weather going into August. We'll take another check of your forecast coming up, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Looking at some crashes we have now. The earlier crash we talked about on the at the Lincoln Tunnel, that seems to have been cleared. But let's go over. Let's go straight actually to the GWB if we can. Pam, I'm going to give you a mile marker right on cam if you could find it. Mile marker 114.9 Western Spur north of interchange 18W. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. Otherwise, I could just show it right there. Let's do it old school. So there we go. So we don't get the reflection. You could see that right there. That looks like over here. Oh, of course. Darn it. Of course that's going to happen live. Um, that looked almost like a motorcycle and a truck with an emergency vehicle there, but it doesn't look like anybody was hurt because when someone is hurt, that's usually, there it is. Yeah. So what is that, Pam? What do you see on the left? A mini, right. Oh, that's the top of a pole. All right. So we see the minivan. So we see the flashing lights there. So something's broken down there, but that's right by the bridge itself. So anyway, we'll check it out. We'll figure it out. In terms of other issues that we have, that was reported as a crash with injuries. GWB lower level eastbound from the Trans Manhattan Expressway in Manhattan, Harlem River Drive, left lane block there. We have truck restrictions on the GWB right now. Of course, you can't go by the what is this? Upper level westbound ramp from 179th. That's a truck restriction. And then your Holland Tunnel has delays. The Holland Tunnel is about 30 minutes in. They're telling us which is actually better than it was. That's due to the South Tunnel, eastbound Jersey side, causing some issues. So let's look at the 139. It's probably built up a little bit because of that. Yeah, and it sure is. It's hard to tell with that dirty lens. But we're talking about the tube on the right that I was just talking about. That's what has delays. So you can see there's I think I see a flashing light there in the upper right, don't you? Yeah. So there's a flashing light. Something's going on there, but you could see the folks to the right there. That's going to cost you probably. They said 30. I'm guessing based on where they're stopped, it's about 45 minutes in. So we'll keep an eye on all the Hudson River crossings. But at least getting back to the Lincoln Tunnel, that's better than it was because they've cleared out the tube. There we go. And you could see the motion now. See, before all of that was stopped. So that's a good thing. Very good. All right. Thank you very much, Pam, for that. It is 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Police are investigating whether lightning may have killed a 32-year-old man during Tuesday's severe storms. The man was found unconscious near a Monroe Township solar field. He later died after being transported to a hospital. Officials are urging residents avoid flooded roads, down power lines, and if there's a lightning storm, don't go to a big, wide open field because you become the tallest thing, which means that if lightning is going to hit, it's going to hit you, which appears to maybe have been the cause here. A transformer explosion ignited several vehicle fires in Hackensack early yesterday morning. The blast snapped a utility pole, and that caused live power lines to fall. 6 vehicles, cars and minivans and SUVs, caught fire before firefighters could safely respond. Crews had to wait for utility workers to de-energize all the energy lines, all the electric lines. So you can imagine what a nightmare that was. One vehicle was hybrid and it required a special hazmat response because of the batteries, the lithium iode batteries that they have. Nearby buildings temporarily lost power, of course. No injuries reported, though, amazingly, but it took all day to get things working. U.S. Marshals arrested a Connecticut murder suspect in Camden. So Hamden, New Jersey is where the person's from, got arrested Hamden, Connecticut is where the person is from, got arrested in Camden, New Jersey. Make sure you follow that. When I read this, I thought it was a typo. Hamden, Camden. All right. Curtis Cole is charged in a fatal 2021 Hamden, Connecticut shooting. Authorities located and arrested him without incident. Cole faces murder and multiple firearms-related charges. He remains jailed, awaiting extradition from Camden, New Jersey to Hamden, Connecticut. His bond has been set at $3 million. Confusing. 15 pigs escaped. They briefly wandered onto a Sussex County roadway. No, we do not have pictures of. Oh, yes, I guess we have that. This is what the pigs look like at happier moments of their lives. We don't have the actual pig. That's just a generic pig picture. State police responded after the animals caused a traffic hazard. You think? Officers safely corralled the pigs until animal control could arrive. The animals were guided back to their property without injury. The pigs almost got away. Officials said livestock escapes occasionally happen in rural areas. Gee, thanks for that. Drivers were reminded to avoid distractions during emergency. I love these little hints. This is AI telling us the drivers should avoid emergency incidents. Thank you very much, AI. Go away. It is 7 minutes after 8 o'clock now. Hackettstown issued a boil water advisory because there was E. coli detected in the water. Now, that is not unusual when you have massive flooding like we've had in the last few days. Routine testing found bacteria now in one municipal drinking water well. The advisory affects customers across parts of Warren and Morris County. So just boil your tap water for a few minutes. You could go online. You could read the instructions. It has to get to the boiling point. You have to leave it at the boiling point for several minutes to kill off all the bacteria, then cool it down. You can drink it. But until then, do not drink that water with E. coli, especially if you're immunocompromised, young children, or the elderly. What started as an idea over a decade ago has turned into a summer highlight for the whole town. On New Jersey's Emily Griffith takes us to downtown Englewood, where the community comes together for a night to remember.
I'm in downtown Englewood, where pedestrians are packing East Palisade Avenue. The night market is back for another year, and with it are thousands of people, 60-plus food vendors, and a night full of live music.
Behind all of it is one woman who spent years turning this idea into a Bergen County tradition.
So I actually created this event back in 2012. It's something different and fresh. Nobody does this. We shut down 2.5 city blocks in the main artery of this town.
For the people who came out, it was about food, friends, and a few surprises along the way.
We did like a full lap around to see what was going on, and everything seemed so cool.
So I just came here because after football practice, we just wanted somewhere to go, and I just brought some of my friends with me, and we're just looking around and finding out what to do.
We got a coupon for free burgers from Habit Burger. We also got a bunch of free samples. Shout out to the local restaurants.
Beyond the food and music, many say the night is also about having a chance to connect with the community.
It's a good thing because in the summer, like all your friends are away, but then all your friends that are here, you like meet them all here and everyone gathers together to do something as a community.
We love supporting our local community, local vendors. You know, we're 2 blocks away, so a lot of familiar faces.
For TH, who organized the event, that sense of connection is the whole point.
There's nothing like meeting somebody in person. the way you made me feel, the way you made me laugh, the way your food tasted, the fun I had at your tent. People are reuniting with neighbors they haven't seen in years. So really, bringing community and business together in person, priceless.
First Commerce Bank sponsored the night market, and its team says the reason comes down to something simple.
Nothing like bringing a community together in the summertime with a festival like this. I mean, the town is represented, right?
Yeah, and as a community bank, the reason we're here is really, as Deb said, is to put a face to the bank name, right? And so meet folks, shake hands, learn a little bit about what their needs are, and just have fun with the community. That's why we're here.
Englewood Mayor Michael Wilds says nights like this carry weight beyond the block party itself.
Effectively, this is a snapshot of America. We come from so many different places, but this golden experiment in America works, and this is really a good taste of something very special.
It's another year and another packed night for the Englewood Night Market. For On New Jersey, I'm Emily Griffith.
Thank you very much, Emily. It looks like a fun place to be. They have that every year, and the woman who organized that helps a lot of folks organize events like that. And it really is special for towns in New Jersey. You know, people forget that you need to have those community gathering moments. During the pandemic, we didn't have it, and it's so important. Even Manhattan does it. They close down blocks at a time during the summer, and they have street fairs. The significance to it, aside from the food and everything else, and it's fun to do. And you say it's greasy, it's greasy food. Not always. Sometimes there's really good food there, but the whole point is to get your neighbors out, and you get to talk to people you may not even realize are your neighbors. So that's why it's so important to have that in a community. That's good. Great. It is 71 degrees right now, 12 minutes after 8 o'clock. Cloudy today, maybe a peak of sun here and there. Highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will have the full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls. The number is 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Clouds today, maybe a spritz here or there, peak of sun, that kind of a day. Highs upper 70s. right to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So what are we looking at outside today? We see the horrible weather we saw the other day. No. We see the perfect
No.
sunshine of the other day. No. It's sort
A
of
little mix.
my bed is not too hard. My bed is not too soft.
Right. It was somewhere in
Goldilocks.
between. A happy medium today, Ken. And I think we've got beautiful weather in our forecast going into this afternoon. Already clearing skies where there's just a little bit of residual fog there up in the hills, right on the western Passaic and Sussex County border. But beyond that, nice clear visibility. And with that, some clearing skies after a little bit of rain came through last night, just starting to wet the roadways. Our forecast today generally looks dry. I know you see the thunderstorm icon here, but it's a small chance of seeing a quick outside passing chance of a shower, especially as the air dries out today into tomorrow to feel much more comfortable when temperatures at the dew point is in the 50s. That feels more like early September, and indeed it will. Right through Saturday, lots of clear sky around for the northern half of New Jersey, maybe some extra clouds with some very muggy conditions down the shore. When those dew points hit the 70s, it feels a little muggier going into the second half of the weekend because some more rain returns by Sunday. So here are those showers from the overnight, giving us a clearer sky today. UV index back to a 7, which is high. Lots of sunshine around into this afternoon as high pressure takes over and that clear sky moves in through the overnight into tomorrow. So again, right through this evening, we had a quick outside passing chance of a shower. I'm not really concerned about it. It's tomorrow morning that starts off nice and dry with all of the pleasant weather and those light breezes from the north and west, warms us nicely into the 80s and keeps our skies nice and clear. Lower humidity will feel great. Saturday, a little bit more in the way of cloud cover, especially through the afternoon, the higher thin clouds kind of making that whitish appearance toward the sky. And then by Sunday, the rain moves back in, especially at night, taking us into Monday morning, some more heavy downpours to get us going to start off a wet day Monday. Will the rest of Monday be clear? Not looking great. I think we'll likely hang on to those clouds most of the day, Monday into Tuesday. So wet weather to finish off the week. Plans on Saturday? You're doing just fine. Should be okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It is 8:17 right now. Temperature 71 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 70 degrees in Trenton, 69 degrees Cape May, 71 degrees in Vineland. We do have some delays to talk about. Most of the major incidents, the crashes and whatnot, have been cleared in the last half hour, which is a good thing. But let's go to the Garden State Parkway, shall we? From 149 to 151, just a lot of traffic. Actually, this is better than it was a couple of minutes ago. This is down to about 25 to 30 miles an hour at some points. But this is northbound between 149 and 151. And it's really just a volume thing. That clears up, as you can see, relatively quickly. So that's not a bad deal. The other issues, we still have some residual slowdowns going into the Hudson River crossing. So let's look at the Holland Tunnel if we can. This is Route 139, making your way from the Turnpike into the tubes. And you'll see that things are kind of slow on the Holland Tunnel. This is, again, 139 from the Turnpike. On the right side, you see the lane stopped. On the left side, you see the lane stopped. So those are going into the tubes. In the middle, the motion that you see, that's local roads for Jersey City. But you can see the things are very, very heavy right now, 40 minutes in via the Holland. We switch over to the Lincoln Tunnel cam. Now, there was an earlier crash mid-tube that was causing massive delays. You can see that's opened up. So that's now moving very well for the Lincoln. That's great, actually, what you're seeing. That's only about 20 minutes in. GWB, upper and lower levels, not bad at all. This is the 8095 approach, and things are moving well there now as well. I spoke too soon. That is the lower level, right side. We have a crash. All right, never mind. They haven't gotten it reported yet, but Pam with her eagle eyes found it. So that's going to cause a problem. So you want to take the upper level of the GWB, avoid the lower level, because that right there, see where they're stopping? That's going to cause a big problem. All right, so take the upper level of the GWB. When we check back in 15 minutes, we'll find out what that's doing in terms of delays. It's 19 minutes past the hour. Parents trust that the food that they feed their babies is safe, but growing concerns over toxic heavy metals in some baby foods have sparked lawsuits and renewed calls for stronger safety standards. Joining us today is Pedramas Fandiari, who is a partner and attorney at Wisner Baum LLP, to discuss the latest research and ongoing litigation and what parents need to know. Good morning. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Ken.
Absolutely. So, what is the toxic baby food litigation all about, and why does a manufacturer even bother, knowing that they're going to get caught? So why are they not careful about this? We've heard this for years. Why is this happening?
Sure. So these cases are really about the companies that make these baby foods failure to ensure that the foods that they're making and selling to American parents, American kids, don't contain excessive levels of heavy metals like lead, arsenic. These toxins are bad for all humans, but especially babies that are particularly vulnerable to their effects. And really, the source of the issue comes from these companies' failure to get the ingredients that they make their baby food with from farms that have lower levels of contamination. They typically have sourced in the past from farms that have high levels of contamination in the soil that then makes its way into the ingredients, and then they make the baby food with it, and babies across the United States then eat that baby food and are exposed to potentially high levels of heavy metals. They also use certain ingredients that pediatricians and doctors more and more recognize nowadays that babies should probably not eat, like brown rice has typically and historically high levels of arsenic in it. And babies really should not be eating rice. There is plenty of substitutes that can provide the energy and nutritional requirements that babies need at that age that rice simply can be replaced with. So there's a whole host of reasons, and we are seeking to hold these companies liable in court on behalf of families who've been affected by this issue, babies who've been exposed to these toxins and suffered physical injuries because of that.
Pedram, which are the most dangerous metals? Are there specific metals that are worse? And I guess a lot of them just occur naturally in soil, right? That come up from the earth, but it's on the baby food manufacturers to make sure that their product has within the acceptable margins, right, of these heavy metals.
Yeah, we're talking about primarily lead and arsenic, and in some cases, mercury as well. Those are really the worst and most dangerous and most commonly found in these foods. Unfortunately, in the past, the FDA, the governmental agency responsible for ensuring the safety of our food, has not set maximum limits on the amounts of these heavy metals that are allowed in baby food. And it's kind of shocking to think about it, that for the most vulnerable populations eating these foods, historically, manufacturers have kind of been left to guard the hen house themselves and have chosen to implement internal limits, that's what they call it, for the amount of heavy metals that they allow into their foods. And those have typically been really high limits. But the FDA has historically really not regulated this sector well until most recently, when, because of litigation, lawsuits, greater scrutiny in the press, things are changing. And finally, we do have limits for lead and arsenic being put in place by the agency in baby food, and the manufacturers have to make sure that the levels are kept below the level set by the FDA.
Now, higher levels, of course, of these metals are bad for anyone and any baby as well. But there's specific times between the 6th and the 9th month when that's specifically dangerous. Is that because of brain formation at that point?
That's right. The brain at that age is undergoing massive changes, and it's growing at a increased rate. It's very vulnerable to environmental toxins and exposures. And you also think about how much a baby eats relative to their weight because of the energy requirements they have. They're growing, they're developing. So babies eat more relative to their weights than adults do. And when you have a source of contamination in the form of daily food that babies depend upon, that could build up over time and cause health problems over time for certain babies.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, parents, you go to a store, you buy baby formula or baby food off the shelf, and you just assume if it's there, it's got to be safe, right? Otherwise, how could it be sold? But that is something now that they should be suspicious about.
That's right. And we actually have states now finally requiring manufacturers to provide labeling and QR codes on certain products that parents can scan to find out what the levels of heavy metals in those products are. That historically has not been the case. And unfortunately, there is not a unified sort of regulatory framework where every single state across the country for every single baby food will require these warnings. The federal government certainly doesn't certainly does not require them. So parents, however, can, with certain baby foods, they can scan QR codes, there are certain labels, but they can also do their own online research on the most contaminated baby food products and also the ingredients to really stay away from when you're feeding a baby.
So now, in the lawsuits allege that the manufacturers knew about the risks and did nothing about it, right? So what are the key claims being made in the litigation?
Sure. So there's a whole bunch of different lawsuits across the country, but for the clients that we represent, the claims are that the exposure to these toxins in early life caused brain injury in these babies that they live with to this day. Some of that brain injury resulted in diagnoses of neurodevelopmental conditions like autism, ADHD. There's a whole host of brain problems that can be caused by exposure to these heavy metals in early life. And we're seeking to hold these companies accountable for the harms that our clients suffered.
And what do parents do in the meantime now when they go to buy food for their babies? Because I'm sure they'll be suspicious of every product on the shelf. So what should they do to make sure that their child, let's put it this way, you're not going to entirely eliminate these metals because they exist in nature. But what do you do to keep them to the absolute lowest level when providing a healthy diet?
I think parents can do their research online on how contaminated certain baby food products are. There are products and brands that actually go out of their way to make sure that levels of contamination are as low as they possibly can be. And that research and those products are available to review online, and parents can make informed decisions accordingly. But ultimately, this is not about what parents should do. It's about what manufacturers should do. And the manufacturers of these baby foods should ensure healthy, safe baby foods with contamination levels that are as low as possible. And that responsibility falls on the companies. It shouldn't be borne by the parents to stay clear of these contaminants, but the companies should ensure that the foods they're selling are safe.
Vedram, what is a website so people could get more information?
There's plenty of information on our website, www.wisnerbomb.com. We actually have a list of baby foods that parents can review and various contamination levels. And Healthy Babies Bright Futures is a great organization with a lot of information out there, consumer reports. There's plenty of online resources nowadays that I encourage parents to consult before making purchasing decisions.
Vedram Esfandiari, partner and attorney at Wisner Baum LLP. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
You bet. And when we come back, if you're looking for a job, be careful because scammers may be looking for you. Culture and compliance strategist Evie Wentink will be here with a warning. We're coming right back. Good morning, Thursday, July 30th, 2026. We have 71 degrees now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Clouds today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Oh, Mike, I'm telling you, am I grumpy? And yeah, I guess I am kind of grumpy today. Today's the day I got to go for my physical, and I go for a
Uh-huh.
blood test. So I'm
Uh-huh.
fasting, which means
Oh,
no
it's
coffee,
awful.
which means
It's
nothing but
awful.
water. It's
That was
what?
me on Tuesday, Ken.
What?
I couldn't think straight.
This?
It was awful.
Well, I can never think
Terrible.
straight, but that's a whole other story. But but the, I'm just, you would think they would in the year 2026 come up with a blood test that extracts caffeine so you could have your coffee.
Mhm.
Darn it. I'm sorry. I'll just go about my business. So, in terms of weather, it's much better than it has been, correct? But still
It
not
really
perfect, but
is.
much better than it has been.
You know, it'll be lovely when you finally get to have your breakfast after the blood work later today, so you can dine al fresco, lots of clear sky, temperatures in the low 80s. Look at all that sunshine today. Now, I know there's a little rain there on the icons, but that just takes into account the tiny chance of a quick passing shower that could pop up this afternoon. Overall, that northwesterly wind direction looking great brings slightly higher levels of bugs over toward the beaches if you plan to go that way today. Elsewhere, plan on the flying insects to be around, the mosquitoes, all of that type, because of the little bit of extra humidity that's around, and of course the recent rainfall that we've had that hasn't been too heavy, at least in the last day or so, beyond the flooding rains from earlier this week. Throughout the afternoon today, as highs get up to 85, which is quite average. We'll keep the humidity in check, bring on more breaks of sun through this afternoon, and water temperatures staying very nicely in the 70s. Atlantic City's cooled off just a little bit, but I think we'll see that rise back up by the afternoon. And no rip current risk at the beaches today, although it's still important to ask the lifeguard where is the safe place to swim, especially with that wind out of the west through this afternoon. Nice and dry into tomorrow and especially on Saturday, but rain chances go up into Sunday and Monday, and then they kind of bounce around 10% next week. So a little bit of extra clouds on the way for tomorrow afternoon, likely clearing throughout the overnight. So Saturday starts off nice and dry, and then by Saturday afternoon you see this front approach from the west and stall out, giving us some extra clouds and showers for Sunday, and that could lead into a wet start on Monday with some of that rain taking over into the early part of next week. 7-day forecast looks great, especially to start off the period with lots of sun tomorrow, 84 degrees, a beautiful beach and pool day. Same for you on Saturday, despite the extra afternoon clouds. Sunday, that's where the rain comes in by the afternoon, could linger into the forecast on Monday, but we start to clear out by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week with temperatures warming up into the mid 80s. A little bit of a wet start down the shore next week as well, but the week is not lost. I think we're back to the clear sky as soon as Tuesday, Ken.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. We have a temperature 71 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 70 degrees in Trenton, 69 Cape May, 70 in Vineland. And we check our traffic. Not a major mess around the area, but we do have some delays. Route 17, we understand there are delays from north of Summit Avenue, Hackensack to South Passaic Street, Rochelle Park Township. All lanes open, just moving slowly at that in that area. Now we go to the Hudson River crossings, and we have some improvements and some slowdown. So let's start at the worst. Let's go to the Holland Tunnel, shall we? So the Holland Tunnel, this is the approach from the Turnpike to 139, making your way into the tubes. Extreme left, extreme right, going into the tubes, and they are just stopped, as you can see. So that's a solid 45 minutes in. We switched to the Lincoln Tunnel, not as bad. There was an earlier crash mid-tube in the Lincoln Tunnel. That has cleared up. So now it's going to cost you about 30 to 35 minutes in, nowhere near what it was before. It was an hour in. This is much better. And then not so bad a lot at all. The GWB upper and lower levels are actually moving pretty well with only 20 to 25 minutes crossover time, with the exception of that. Just avoid that part of the lower level right there, and that's where you have emergency activity. There was a crash that just happened. But other than that, if you go to the upper level, it's actually moving pretty well to get into Manhattan. All right. Are you searching for your next job? Well, be careful, because there are scammers getting more sophisticated, and many of the biggest red flags can be very easy to miss. Evie Wentink is a culture and compliance strategist. She's here to tell you about how you can protect yourself. She's also a longtime friend of me and the family. So it's great to have my dear friend Evie on. Hello, Evie.
Hi, Ken. Good morning on this rainy,
Good.
actually, Wayne, New Jersey has rainy morning, but yes, I'm happy to be here. How are you?
Did you get our beautiful Reese off to college?
Almost counting down the days. I think 20th of August, we're going to move her in Virginia. It is going to be interesting, but I'm really excited for her. So very, very nice.
Just to digress, Reese is one of the most beautiful young women ever, and I remember her when she was an infant. And Evie was my neighbor, and she is just. You have three beautiful children. It's just Reese is stunning, and she is a champion, national champion cheerleader, right? So good for Reese. She's just amazing. She's grown into an incredible human being. You and Gavin have done an incredible job. All right, I digress too much. I'm sorry, too
Thank
much
you.
personal stuff. So, but it's the truth. Fake job postings. This is crazy at a time, I guess, when people are really looking for work. You see a job posting that looks too good to be true. It could very well be, right?
Right. Yes, 100%. So not only that we have to worry about fake jobs, we also have to worry about ghost jobs. We can get into that later. But right now, the thing that you have to understand is with AI being so accessible to many, the things that you were able to spot before and thinking something is fake looks very real right now. Just yesterday, I had posted a PSA on LinkedIn of a job posting. Someone had posted this long, beautiful post. We are looking for multiple roles. And in this company, they kind of are very vague about the company. They say, send me your resume and we will get you to this job. And then you realize that those people are trying to get your information. It has nothing to do with offering your job. And it's really scary. I also just recently had a conversation on my podcast with an HR representative who is very savvy on discerning fake jobs from reals. And it was very hard for her to understand and went further into the process to understand whether that job was fake or real. So we really get into it on that podcast. You have it right here. So if people are interested to see what are the warning signs and at which point she realized basically what ended up happening is they wanted her to change her resume. So that's one of those warning signs. If you are starting to talk to someone about a job posting, and at some point in that conversation, they say, well, your resume needs a little tweak before we can really submit it. That is your telltale sign not to go that route, not to disclose any more information, because they're more likely trying to get your information, trying to get you to pay to get your resume updated for this job that may not exist. So you really have to be careful what you do and who you disclose your information for sure.
I remember years ago, and I'm 59, so we're talking, back in when I was in my 20s. When you put together a resume back then, you put your name, address, and phone number on the resume. Today, you don't do that anymore, right? So, what should you and should you not have on your resume? Is it just name and email address, or name, phone number? What do you put and do you not put on your resume?
I think it suggested maybe the location, like New York Metro, if where are you looking in the market? I think that's okay to put in, but you don't have to put in your address. Clearly, you need to put in your contact information, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, one of the things that we were worried, even if you provided more information to this third party and now you've paid for your resume to be updated, the issue is now they have your banking information. And how far will the fraud
Mm.
go? It doesn't necessarily have to stop with, just, trying to get money out of you for updating your resume. The fraud can go really, really much further. So people have to be very diligent on understanding who are they giving the information to. LinkedIn isn't platform anymore that you can trust everything is on there. And actually in Texas, earlier in July, I believe the date was July 14th, the Texas General Attorney General is looking into and doing their own independent investigation about how are they vetting these recruiters that are on the platform, the jobs that are on the platform. There's more information to be done, but it's too early to tell yet where that's going to go. But from what I see, I've seen many posts that are very vague, or they are asking you, I've seen a lot of those actually, that are asking you, are you on the current job market to, look for certain roles? And it's always a poll. There is a lot of interest in doing those polls, but I think that's when you're opening yourself up to the fraud, and to understand that the person behind that poll, or the person behind the posting that I just posted about the other day, is somewhere in a different country. Like the one in my friend's case, they were in Nigeria, right? Like they're completely somewhere else. And you used to be able to spot it because the English wasn't great in the posts, but now that's the issue with AI. Things are perfected, so you have to be extra careful. So one advice that I would give to people looking in the job market, looking for a job, always verify the information on the company website. Always do a double check. Don't just take it for face value, thinking that the person on the other side is a good person. Just, like you said it at the beginning, if it's too good to be true, it most likely it is, and you're going to set yourself up for some kind of a failure. And it may be just getting money for drafting a resume, or worse. And obviously, in compliance, and ethics and compliance, part of our job is education, whether it's on the company side. And I believe companies should be doing more. And, in our podcast, we discussed it a little bit, where if someone notifies you that third party is trying to scam you in the job that they're offering for this company, contact that company, show them your screenshots and whatever information you may have, so that they can then protect themselves, and maybe make a post on their website, maybe make a post on their social media saying, if you're being contacted about our job, it is not something that we do. We post our jobs here, and this is where you look to verify for the job. So I think it has to be
Fascinating.
both ways. On the jobs, on the people who are the people who are searching for jobs need to be diligent and understand, do a little search of where is this information coming from. But companies, like in your previous segment, companies also have a responsibility to communicate and be transparent about what jobs are available and what are the things that they're doing or they're not doing, so that people have that trust in what they see.
Gotcha. Hey, well, give everybody the name of the podcast again, and a website for more information, Evie.
So my podcast is ethical. It's Let's Talk About Ethics with Evie, and that particular one I am on with my HR colleague and expert Melanie Shongham, where we talk about justice, job postings, and how far did she go to figure it out that it was fake. And I mean, she is an expert in HR, so I think it's worthwhile listening. It isn't somebody who is not savvy in job posting, right? So I thought that was really interesting. But things like that happen with to us often. So better be safe than sorry. And then my website is ethicaledgeexperts.com. Thank you so much, Ken.
We love you, Evie, and that is great advice, stuff I would have never, ever thought about. You just assume, especially if you see a big company name, you assume, oh, who would fake that? But it's a matter of you need to go to the company's website. Do not take for granted, or do not assume that what you're seeing is the real deal. Culture and compliance strategist Evie Wentink, such important advice. Thank you for coming on this morning, Evie.
Thank you so much.
And give the kids a hug for me. Say hi. All right. They're great. What a beautiful family. It is now 72 degrees at 8:44. When we come back, local businesses throughout Boonton have joined forces through the Boonton Underground for a special fundraiser on August 7th to help a little girl with cerebral palsy. We'll have the details in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 846, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Clouds today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, tell us all about it.
Well, the
No pressure.
rain that we've had earlier this week, no pressure at all. The good news is that that's over. That rain has finished. It's put a lot of water in the buckets, more than 180% of average rainfall there toward Morristown. I mean, you look at the rivers, you look at the puddles that we've seen and the flooding rains from earlier this week, and you wonder, how could it be that there are some areas that still have a rainfall deficit? Well, it was very localized, if you remember. That rain was specifically off to northern parts of the state, where it will probably be out of the drought by this time next week when the new numbers come in. Still a little bit of abnormally dry weather down the shore, but again, that's coming to an end with the moisture that's in the forecast over the coming days. Most of that will fall probably later on this weekend, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday timeframe. So into the first few days of August, yes, we're slightly wetter than average, but most of the heat stays down south or to the southwest, where for the first 2 weeks of August, looking to be a little bit warmer than average. The next few days featuring plenty of sunshine, especially today, tomorrow, Saturday looking great. Sunday likely has some wet weather returning, and then into next week, we're back in the 90s this time next week. So the heat will be upon us in just a few days' time, even down the shore. Notice that big jump of 10 degrees between Wednesday and Thursday. Hot weather's a-coming, Ken, so summer is not over yet.
All right, hot weather's a coming. Got that marked down. Thank you, Mike. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful
You too.
weekend, buddy. We'll check
Thanks.
back in a bit. It is 74 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton, it's 69 in Cape May, and it is 72 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go to the Lincoln Tunnel. I'm sorry, Holland Tunnel approach. This is Route 139 making your way. Wow, what a mess that is. This is making your way from the Turnpike to the tubes. Just absolute bumper to bumper mess. Now, the middle lanes that are moving, those lanes are the local lanes for Jersey City. It's the extreme right and extreme left that are not moving. Those are the ones waiting for the tube. So it's going to cost you 45 minutes in via the Holland Tunnel. Lincoln Tunnel is actually much better than it was earlier. The Lincoln did have an incident in the middle of the right tubes. That is now cleared up. So things are moving very well. This is the approach to the Helix. As you can see, those cars moving away from the camera, going toward the top. They're all flowing very well. It's only down to 20 to 25 in via the Lincoln. GWB is a whole other story now. The lower level has what appears to be a crash that's off to the right side. You see that by the overpass. So you see the state police blocking 2 lanes as a result. So everybody on the lower level trying to make their way is going to have to deal with this. And now we're talking about 45 minutes in by the GWB, all because of what you see on your screen. It is 8:50 right now. 3-year-old Ellie Cooper lives with cerebral palsy and other disabilities. And while she needs a wheelchair accessible van, it is not covered by insurance. Now, local businesses throughout Boonton have joined forces through the Boonton Underground for a special fundraiser on August 7th, hoping to help Ellie's family reach their goal. Joining us this morning is Ellie's mom, Stephanie Hopman Cooper, and Kim Rose, owner of Boneyard Boutique and Boonton Underground. Good morning, both of you. Good to have you on.
Morning. Thanks for having us. Morning.
You bet. Well, let's start with Stephanie. Tell us about Ellie and why having a wheelchair accessible van is so important to get her around. It would be life-changing.
Yes, it definitely will. So Ellie, as you said, she has CP, she has some other disabilities, and it makes traveling very challenging for us. A wheelchair van would help us with safer transfers into the car. She does have the feeding tube. She has low tone, so transferring her into her car seat is very challenging. She also needs more support during the ride than a car seat can offer for her. It's very uncomfortable. It's very difficult for her to sit during the car ride. So our car rides are very short because of that, and also room for a nurse to sit next to her. Our current vehicle does not allow for that, unfortunately.
So this has to be a very special vehicle. This would keep her calm to have somebody next to her and to monitor her the whole way.
Yes, yeah, right now, for medical care, we do even a 20-minute ride. We are pulling over on the side of the road to give her medical care because there's no one next to her to do so. It's very unsafe.
Oh, wow, and must be so stressful for her. That must be so challenging for her to take that little trip. And Kim, when you heard Ellie's story, you made the Boonton Underground businesses want to rally around the cause.
Yeah, we've been talking with the family for a while, and all of us are just kind of coming together. We partnered with Boonton Underground and then Boonton Main Street, and then I think we're up to about 20 businesses for First Friday that are doing some kind of fundraising efforts and helping to spread the word. And everyone's offering something a little different, a cookie in exchange for a donation, or, some kind of incentive, something interactive. And we're calling it a quest for Ellie. So it's a little bit of a fantasy themed fun night to walk around town and really have the opportunity to make a difference.
And Boonton is a great community. I used to live a town away. In fact, as of last week, moved from a town away from Boonton. It's just a lovely community, great little downtown. And Boonton Underground is sort of an association of businesses, right? The association of businesses in Boonton.
Yeah, there's a I'm not sure how many we're up to now, but it's a group of us that came together to try to promote the community. And then we work in tandem with, the town and then the Boonton Main Street nonprofit. That way we're all kind of coming together, which is nice. And it's been great for the community to have the businesses come together to run events, support different causes in the town, and just be present with what the needs are and run some fun events too.
And that makes such a difference. It makes it such a great community when you do that. And Stephanie, insurance amazingly does not cover the cost of the van. So how
No,
difficult has it been navigating that? And that must be so stressful and frustrating.
it is. It is. Unfortunately, they don't help at all. When you call them and ask for help, they give suggestions like this to fundraise. There's also a state program available that has barriers as well. That it requires, it's got a reimbursement um, strategy. So we would have to lay out the funds first and wait up to 18 months to receive that money back, which unfortunately our family just doesn't have. So we are left to fundraise, and thank goodness for all of these incredible businesses and community members that have really stepped up for us. As of today, I'm really graciously announcing that we have raised about $47,000 so far. I don't know if you remember, Ken, last time we were on about a month
Yep.
and a half ago, we were at 16. So I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. It's just, it's amazing. It's incredible. But then it's like the fact that we're not even 50% of the way there with all of that support. It just shows the magnitude of how expensive and how unattainable these vans really are. So that's why we're still at it. We still have incredible support. The Boot and Elks in town just had a fundraising event for us last weekend that raised over $7,500. Like everyone is just rallying around us. It's incredible. It's incredible online, in person. The support from Assemblywomen, as pictured there,
Mhm.
is, I mean, it's amazing. We're so grateful to every single person, business, organization, everyone. So grateful.
Good people in town. Kim, let me ask Kim about the August 7th First Friday fundraisers. Now, what can people expect when they come out?
So it runs from 5 to 9 p.m. and you can walk around on Boonton Main Street. We have about 20 businesses participating. So there's Tattoo Guild, Boonton Coffee, Catfight Coffee, Gemtuitive, Boneyard Boutique, Imperfect Perfections, Java Smugglers, Melly Sweet House. Uh, there's Speakeasy Art, Stokedville, a bunch of other ones. And pretty much we'll have chalked outside the front of the business, so for participating. There'll be signs, and you can walk around throughout the town from the top of Maine to the bottom of Maine and find the businesses that are participating and pop in and see how you can help. And there'll
Awesome.
be different ways to participate too.
Is there a website set up if people can't make it there, but they'd like to donate?
Yes. So at the bottom of your screen, as you see, Ellie Strong 23 is our Instagram account. And on there you can find all of the links. We have online fundraisers going. There's one with Paper Pie that you can actually get different goods and things, and portion of the profits go towards the campaign. Or if you want to donate directly to us, and our campaign, it is through Help Hope Live. The link is there as well.
Beautiful. Her name is Ellie Cooper. Beautiful family. God bless you all. And her special fundraiser will be held August 7th in Boonton. Stephanie Hoffman Cooper, Kim Rose, owner of Boneyard Boutique and Boonton Underground. Thank you both for coming on this morning. This is for Ellie, so everybody be generous, and we appreciate it. And we will say prayers for you as well. Hopefully August 7th will get you over the top. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right. Struggles in life, poor kid, what she's going through, and the good people of Boonton, thankfully. And thank you for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We'll see you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. Have a good day.